Hi guys, Goffy here and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about my previous year. I'm going to do a bit of a 2022 recap, but before we do that, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Loads of you have joined the channel over the last year, and many of you have been here for multiple years as well now, and I just want to say thank you for the support. You guys reach out to me on Instagram, you like, you comment, you subscribe far more frequently than I actually put out videos, so I thank you for your support because without you guys, this channel just wouldn't be what it is. Now in terms of today's video, I'm going to split it into 5 sections. We're going to kick off the video with my favourite images from the year. I think there's going to be 5 of them, and they also coincide with my 5 favourite trips of the year as well. We're then going to talk about my favourite camera of the year. We're going to talk about my favourite non-camera piece of gear for the year. We're then going to talk about my biggest achievement, and finally we're going to end on what I think is probably my biggest realisation of the year. It's the sort of video that I want to make each year, and we'll just see how things progress. First up then was a trip that Claire and I took in January, and we went to a place called Blackchurch Rock that can be found on the north coast of Devon. Now we travelled here after work on a Friday night, stayed in a Premier Inn and got up super early for a sunrise shoot. And then when we got down to Blackchurch Rock, it almost felt a bit underwhelming, like we was never going to get the sunrise that we wanted. But not long after we'd got there set up, the sun came out and the sky just seemed to clear off as well. So we had no clouds in the sky and we had a really nice sunrise. And this image, even though it was only 2 weeks into the year, is probably my favourite image of the year. To the point that it's actually up on my wall now. I've got an A2 print of this up on my wall and I absolutely love it. And maybe I peaked just a little bit too soon this year. Next up then, Claire and I in April took a trip to Antwerp over in Belgium. Now, for me, I rarely find myself doing night photography, but Antwerp gave me this opportunity that I'm not really used to. I found myself using a Pro Mist and Awful Eye at the same time, which went very well with the night photography, and I think it all just kind of came together for this one good image. The Pro Mist adds that kind of soft glow to the highlights, the cyclist is almost slap bang in the centre of the frame, also highlighted by that bit of light on the floor as well. There's lots of colours in it that also help to kind of bring the image alive. And talking about night photography, we've got another one as well. My third favourite image of the year was a trip that Claire and I took to Liverpool in, I think it was May. Now this image was actually pretty hard for me to get. I just got a Leica Q and it has ibis in it, but it was actually still too dark to try and handhold. I tried so hard and ended up having to rest the camera on this little post. It still wasn't that steady, but steady enough to get the image. I think this image was shot at a 15th of a second. I really like how good that reflection is in the middle. I really quite like the detail on the right hand side of the image as well. It makes it a little bit unbalanced, but I still like this image enough that I really want to get this one printed as well. Similar to the other one, maybe A2 size, and get it up on the wall. For my fourth image then, we jump a few months down to September and Lake Como. Now, Lake Como is somewhere I've wanted to go for years and I was super excited to be there, and I've actually got a bit of a story about this in a future video. But Lake Como itself just presents so many photo opportunities, but I think it's this one here that kind of stands out to me the most. Now, there's actually kind of 3 versions of this image. We've got the portrait one, which I think is probably my favourite in terms of, I think the framing and the balance works best here. But I also really like the landscape version as well. I think landscapes for me just look better on the wall, so if I was to sell like it as a print, maybe I'd sway towards the landscape one. But I do also really like the one where I kind of took a little bit more of a step back and got the rails of the boat in as well in the foreground. I kind of like the depth that this adds to the image, so I'm a bit torn on which of the 3 images I like the most. You tell me which one you like. Is it the portrait, just the standard landscape, or the one with the kind of boat rails in the foreground? And then finally, my 5th favourite photo has to be one of the ones I took in Budapest in October. But there's so many good ones, I've really been struggling to pick which one I like the most. Budapest for me is probably the place that surprised me the most. I went there expecting a good time, but I come away really wanting to go back. It's somewhere I'd actually like to spend a good few weeks and really get to know the place, because I just really like the atmosphere, the people, the way it looked. It's such a pretty place, and image-wise, honestly, I struggle to pick one. I think if I was forced to pick one, maybe this is the one I would pick. Now next up then, we're going to talk about my favourite camera of the year, and there's 2 standout cameras for me this year. On one hand, we've got the Fuji X-H2S, and on the other, we've got the Leica M10. Both of these cameras have made a huge difference to my channel in the last 6 months. The Fuji works a little bit more behind the scenes and does all the video content, where the Leica M10 is a bit more obvious, it's on screen, and it's kind of brought the joy back to my photography. Now, because I'm forced to pick one, I actually think I'm going to go with the M10. Getting the M10, picking that up, definitely brought back my enjoyment into my photography, and it's a mixture of kind of the process, the build, the lenses, it's all that kind of stuff just brought my love of photography back. but the Fuji is definitely a close second and has made my quality of my YouTube videos an awful lot better than they ever were. Next up then, we're going to talk about the one piece of gear that I couldn't live without that isn't a camera. Now, I actually left this part of the video blank for a little while because I was struggling to pick something, but then the answer just hit me. And the answer for me has to be my Billingham Hadley Small. Now, I know it's an expensive shoulder bag, but this is a bag that I've been using now for nearly 5 years. And look at it. It honestly looks brand new. It's a bag that I absolutely love, and I've been using it in a slightly different way recently as well. I've actually sometimes taken the insert out of the bag, stuck it in the bottom of non-camera bags as a bit of a weekend getaway bag. Absolutely love the bag, and I would thoroughly recommend it to everyone. Even though it's got that expensive price tag, I think it is my longest standing piece of camera gear that I own. I can't think of anything else that I own camera-wise that has outlived this bag. 5 years, it's going strong, and it honestly looks brand new. Next up then, I want to talk about my biggest achievement of the year. And for many people, this achievement might seem quite small, but for me, it was setting up my website. I have owned www.gophy.com for years, but I've never actually properly set up a website. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but I've always just kind of ignored it and put it on the back burner. The other element that probably fits in as well is the fact that I've advertised some digital products on there, my presets, and people have bought them. And I think that's probably the biggest milestone that I can think of when it comes to the YouTube channel this year. In terms of like my video quality, I do think that sort of stuff's improved as well. Hopefully you guys would agree, but I think actually building a website and getting it out there is probably the most important thing I've done this year. And then finally, I want to end the video on my biggest realization of the year. And I think the realization I've made, and probably more so in the last few months, is to do with why I do photography in the first place, and trying to remember why I do it in times when maybe I just forget a little bit. And for me personally, that is documenting my life. The main reason I take photos is to have a pretty solid diary of all of the things I've done. The people I meet, the people that are in my family, the people that mean the most to me, and having them captured within my Lightroom library. Now, I think the point I'm trying to make here is I think sometimes I look at my Lightroom library, and maybe you do the same, and you look through it and you think, I've got all of these images that I can't sell as a print. They're not going to go viral on Instagram, but what I do have here is a collection of images that mean a lot to me. If I was to show them to you, they would mean next to nothing, but to me, there's a lot of value there. And I think if you've got some value there, even if it's your own value, then you've got a very successful Lightroom library. And I think sometimes I just need to remind myself that I don't need to take the best photos in the world, because my main aim is to document my life. And if I'm doing that, then I'm on the right track. So a little bit of a realization I've made recently, and I need to stop kind of comparing myself sometimes to some of the other things that I see out there. And I think that's it then for this video. Thank you guys for all the support, like I said, and I'm actually going to record a video straight after this one that you should hopefully see in a few days, just after this one gets released. And I've got so many video ideas ready for 2023. I'm excited to bring you guys along. So if you've enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. And if you are already subscribed, then I promise you guys, I've got some good videos in store. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.